Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Great to see everyone on. I'm always looking for interesting guests. Let me take a step back before I get too interesting a guest and just shout out to Gold and Silver, still doing so well out there. Quite a run the last, even just 5 days on Platinum as well. We're holding strong. Everything is good. We're coming into the end of October here. It's Halloween tomorrow. Hope everyone has fun with their kids, gets out there. But like I was saying, we're always looking for an interesting angle and a way to help people. And for us, we're called the market mindset for a reason. We have a model we like to follow. It's very data driven, but it's hard to amass all that data. Like it's hard to jump around from different forums and different sites or signing up for news releases and checking news releases all the time. There's a better system involved. And I was even contemplating in my head, like, I wonder if there's some way we could, initiate AI to go search and create a bot and do all this. And came across Mining Hub, and it was just a total fluke that I came across the site. And whenever I started playing around with it, I was like, okay, wow, this is wild. And signed up for a free, just like, send it a daily snapshot. Went on also LinkedIn, and you see the posts where it's like daily showing you all the news coming from the miners, and it's sorted out from assays, financials, whatever, the width, the length, the grade. And I was just like, okay, wow, this is very cool, because it's hard for me, even with companies I like, to keep track of all of them, and you might miss a news release. And if it's like a banger, you need to be watching it, because that stuff can move fast. If you can see right the first thing when you wake up in the morning that boom, here's results. You can see a good result, be like, holy smokes, like look at that. Look, that's an awesome drill hole. I need to find out more. So seeing that, playing around with it, I immediately reached out to Mining Hub and was like, listen, what are you guys up to? This is very cool. How come I don't know? And lots of people know about them. I just didn't. So Carl is here. He's one of the founders, president and founder of the company, and wanted to have him walk through what the whole reason for this was, how it came about, and why we find it critical. We love it for analyzing things. What are the capabilities, and who it's made for. So Carl, welcome on. Pleasure to have you here. Whenever we find something that's this cool, that's this innovative and helpful, I like to shout out to people that they should be looking at it.
Hey, I really appreciate it, and thanks for the intro there. I mean, I think for myself, my background is comes from industry. I want to say I started in the mid 2000s up in Nunavut, and got a pretty early taste, boots on the ground on the mining side. And throughout the rest of my career, I advanced up, more down to a corporate role in the offices of Vancouver. And throughout that, I had similar challenges to, I think, a lot of people out there in tracking it. Right, it's an immense amount of things happening every day. So we wanted to build something that supports that, supports the mining companies themselves, but any stakeholder in the industry, from a brand new investor to a seasoned one, and similarly, someone from a drilling contractor down to a geologist, everyone across the board, including government and First Nations. Everybody can benefit from having access to it, but it's a challenge, like you say. There can be tight windows on things, and you need timely information. AI is great for a lot of stuff. You can't do everything with it. And I think when you're talking about a technical sector like ours, there's some challenges, right, in the way that information is put out. Right. So it's an evolving landscape, but I'm happy to kind of walk you through it on our side and get into, a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of what's available and how it can be used.
Yeah. And for me, once again, if we can kind of show people, like, listen, even if you it's free, you can sign up for free. If you're interested, you're just an investor, you're curious, you're going to be blown away. And so we can kind of go at that surface level of what it can do. And then if you're an actual investor, or if you are more specific, and we won't go too much in the weeds, because like, if you can, I'm going to ask you all sorts of questions, but it's almost like if you can dream it up, it probably can do it. And that is where, if someone who's more technical, they're a bit more excited, they're going to have a lot more fun with it. So let's get you going here and walk through just kind because I mean it's fun to use as well. That's the other thing I was pretty impressed with. And also, as a disclaimer, we don't have any working relationship. There's no sponsorship. There's no anything going on here. I literally found it and was blown away and was like, Carl, we need more people to know about this. So
yeah, well, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's we haven't been around forever, so it's no shocker that it was new to you. And we've been getting a good groundswell and good reception, and we always keep our ear to the ground on the feedback we get, and we always keep pivoting in ways. There's a tremendous amount to go through, but we'll try to cover it pretty quick from the bottom up.
Yeah, perfect.
So I'm going to share a screen here. Let's see if we can get that up. There we go. Well, I'll start with the daily email. That's probably an easier starting place. So what we do is just before market open, we send out a daily snapshot of what's going on. And I think that the big key separators on this that make it unique and valuable is it's organized, for starters. So we always start with drilling results at the top. Our team is looking at every single press release as they cross the wire. We pull out the top intercept per. So, the idea here is to get a little bit more color and context of the grade that's kind of coming out of these sort of things.
Yes.
And of course, broken out by commodity. I think just looking at this too, like, don't always be fooled that the highest number is going to be the best. Jurisdiction and area are extremely relevant to things. And, it could be a twin hole, or it could be, there's a lot of different cases. So, I'll say it as well. You always want to do your due diligence, but, it's good to get a first snapshot of what the heck things are and, what the highlights are, right? We get into drilling updates after that, and then we can see our lovely faces here promoting it this morning. M&A section below that. So when projects are being acquired, we'll tie all that sort of stuff in. So each one of these headlines is going to drive to a project itself within the system. And when you do click on that, looks like it's going to my other screen here. The interface we will see the press release itself coming out. But what's unique about the system here is we're going to tie into the physical asset of that project and where that is. And there's a lot of things that, you're going to want to know and understand when you are interested in things is, where is this project? Is there other players in the area? Is there road access to this? What jurisdiction are we in? And I know on our side we sift through every press release, so we know this probably better than most do, that it's not always apparent. And I think sometimes companies can make the mistake of thinking everyone knows about all their assets, but sometimes it's brand new ground too. So having that context and that layer in there is really important. What else we get into? As you said, financings, project updates and all this sort of stuff. We do put a country tag on the left-hand side here, so you get a bit of a cursory look at where each press release is. But you can jump into the system here, and I think when you come into it, we're looking right now at a map display and a ton of icons, and what these are press releases tied to locations, and this is present day that we're looking at right now. So we're seeing all that, and we're going to see a breakout depending on the different markets that they're in. Just key to point out while we're seeing that, when you do see yellow ones on here, essentially those are North American, but there's a lot more information about those companies that our team has brought into the system here. So we're looking at this. This is a current snapshot of today, but the system is organizing this information all the time. So, it would be overwhelming if we were looking at all of this week at one time here. So we break it out by day on the default, but, users can come in here, filter back in time, pull out drilling results from this week or over a longer period of time. All that functionality is really built into here. As we do drive in and further into an area, we can click on the news itself and see that icon. But also we can look at the project when we're looking at different projects here and find out, key information about this. I'm just clicking a random one here. So we can see that this is, the Cigar Lake project. It's held by Chemical. It's in the Athabasca Basin. It's a uranium asset. We can see their stock information, all of the news that's tied with them, be that project specific or company in general. So this is always going to be the case across the board when you're looking at projects. So I think a way to think about this and the intent of Mining Hub is, to provide that stage of relevance for anybody really in this sector to have a better resource of live information that's current, market information, but then also the background details on here to understand more about an area, more about the players involved in it and what their activities have been and what they're doing.
What I love about it is that it still requires people to do their homework. But for someone, if they don't even know, and they just they go to that email they get out and they see the nice colorful gold intercept. It's big, it's got width. They're like, holy smokes. They can click on it. It takes them to a region. And then you can, I think what's so handy is you can get a real scope for, well, what is like near to another mine mean? What does it mean when they say it's a bit remote? Or what does it mean infrastructure? When you can actually go pinpoint it, go look. And then also say with Cameco, that's a pretty good, company to start with. Having that chart, like all that data right there, it's a small thing, but it's actually a big thing because I don't have to go then pull up Yahoo Finance to go, oh, what's the stock doing? What's the trading volume? It's got right there. So I can go, okay, I know who this is, and say if it was a smaller company, I don't know who they are. Okay, there's volume. I can see the stock's doing well. It gives them that initial like quick hit of, do I need to investigate further? Should I investigate further? Should I then start the questions rolling? Where is this asset? Where's this and all that? And I think just as that first screener for someone to go, how can I find out whenever there is good news without having to go put 500 companies in my Yahoo news alert to see if a news release comes out, is that this is a way you'll get that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the goal is ultimately, being a time saver, right? I think, we're coming up on Halloween 2024. And I think when you look at mining in contrast to maybe other sectors out there, we've always been a bit dated and there's reasons for that. But, so far as understanding all of the information, having all this, there's an immense amount of it and it's changing all the time. But I think, steadily as an industry, we've needed, or there's been more and more demand for this sort of thing. I mean, I've certainly felt it throughout my career, whether it's, in the earlier days, trying to understand where I would get a job in the space and who's financing and who's doing what. And down the line to when we're conducting our own financings and investigating, okay, well, what are peers doing out there and what are standards out here for this area, and why things are going in a certain way. And then on the investor side as well, I mean, what is moving the needle out there, whatever the market condition is, you kind of want to understand all that, or even what's a good drilling result, in the Abitibi these days, what has it been historically? And looking back at those, which ones have moved the needle for companies and why, right? And so I think everyone's most precious commodity, regardless which one of those hats you're wearing, is always time. So when you have all that at your fingertips, that's the intent, that's the goal. And it's certainly access we could monetize, I'd say, like, to provide someone like yourself, like, sure, we'd love it as a company to charge you to come in and here and use this, but at the same time, we don't need to do that, because I think as a sector as a whole, we want to support investors better in here. The bar to entry in mining can be quite high.
Yeah.
And I think if we all want to meet future demands here, I mean, there needs to be more investment coming in, and you're not going to do that without resources like this for a new age of investor coming in. And that's the goal of it, right? Is supporting that. But like I said, down to the geo as well, who's looking for work. I mean, everything's got to work a little bit more efficiently. And that's the overarching goal.
That efficiency is huge, because even just something simple, whereas even a company that I might like, and they say, yes, Andrew, we have assays coming soon. And even if I'm up like on it, I have a company to run. I've got so much to do in a day. To be just like waiting for that email to pop in, it's pretty challenging. Like it just is. And that's even a company I might like, that whenever you could just get a pop-up and go in and look and get an alert, that's very handy. Like it really is. I think because so many, the crowd in mining is pretty tight, and they do, they'll watch like a hawk. For someone new to come in, I kind of look at it as like you're leveling the playing field a bit. They have a chance now to go, okay, I've seen this result. It's got my attention. Now I can quickly look at it and start, and really, and we get to the next stage here, I guess, is I can get into the meat and potatoes of this now. I can really go look at this property, at what they've got, and we can put on both hats right now if you want, either as more of an actual investor or an analyst, or even if you're a stockbroker. Where does that kind of fit in next step?
Sure. Yeah. Well, even backing up a bit too on the company side, where my experience was from. I mean, look, there's a lot of, especially right now, there's a ton of undervalued assets, and it's a really exciting time, I'd say, for our space. Mm-hmm. Especially as we kind of pivot the next couple of months here. But despite that, it's been a hard grind on a lot of these juniors that are going to be feeding the pipe for majors, and so not all of them have survived that well through it. But at the same time, they have tremendous assets, some of them, and sometimes tremendous teams backing them as well, and so big value there. But when budgets are down and companies have been depressed, and we've seen this across the board, is a lot of boards shut down things traditionally like marketing and get their story out there. So for them as well, regardless of any affiliation or association with us, I like the idea. I sleep better at night knowing that we are providing that level playing field. Like, it's not just promoted content here, right? We're going to see all of it here. And I think that's the ethos we always try to keep here is providing that transparency, because look, there's some fantastic companies out there. There's some that maybe aren't as fantastic. There's also traditionally a lot of over promotion that can happen in our space.
Yes.
And different reasons for that. But look, at the end of the day, I think I come back to it. We need proper resources and tools to do due diligence, and we're happy to kind of facilitate a level playing field in that regard. But we can jump into some of the other sides here.
Sure. And I'll just throw into context too, as far as someone like in my role, is that to me, it's so invaluable, because even if I don't know the company, I look and I go, holy smokes, that's a good intercept. I don't want someone reaching out to me going, hey, Andrew, did you see that? And I'm going, I have no idea what you're talking about. I need to know and just see it, so I can at least make some sort of judgment to go, I haven't paid attention to XYZ company. They just hit this. Where is it? What's going on? Do I like it? Do I not? I mean, I have a million questions I can answer very quickly, but just even from me in conversation, it's such a useful tool, because it can direct me quickly to a company I may have never heard about with an asset somewhere else, to then say, hey, holy smokes, this is interesting. And that does cut through, like you're saying, the promotion of, well, there's lots of newsletters, there's lots of articles about this one. Are they good results? Where it's like, it's going to be fairly apparent. If there's strong numbers, it comes out, you see it. And that's a big added bonus, I guess you could say. There's still translation that needs to happen. Like, if you're brand new, like if you know the space, then you just know. But I think for someone new and an investor or something, that context of, well, okay, that looks good, but they might need a little bit more guidance, but it does cut through a lot of the noise, let's just say.
Yeah, for sure. I think, probably I would imagine most of your viewers are familiar with an Airbnb kind of site, right? And that's a lot of the way we try to model some of the user interface here in a way that's, dynamically updating, and similarly, just easy, cohesive project to project. I mean, we're not talking about houses here or an MLAS in real estate. We're talking about mining projects, and that's what we tie information to. That's what you're seeing on here. But the way to view it is, it's all kind of dynamically updating on this enhanced kind of version I'm looking at right now. There's a lot of bells and whistles on the top. I'm not going to jump into all of it, but some base level functionality. If we were looking for a company, we can obviously randomly click on them here, or we can just type them into the search bar. So I'll just do Western Red Lake. Western Red. Oh boy. Western. Oh no, it wasn't Western Red Lake. Was that?
Yeah, West Red Lake. Yeah, there's West Red Lake Gold. Yeah.
Oh, why am I thinking Western? Apologies.
Yes.
Apologies, West Red Lakes.
There's a lot of
yeah, sorry. There's a lot of companies out there. Yeah, so I mean, you can search for them by project or by the asset portfolio on here. So that's kind of two different ways we can jump into it. So just know you can do that on here. Similarly, there's other things you can search for, things like, obviously everyone's heard of the Golden Triangle or the Abitibi. So you can kind of jump in and again, the idea is to help you understand, well, who are the players in the triangle these days and who are active out there. So there's a lot of different ways we can drive around, but looking at, what we've got kind of displayed on here, we'll see kind of a company level information. When we're on a project, we can see more project details. Now, West Red Lake would have been one of those companies, if they had news out today, that would have had a yellow icon. They've opted in to provide more information in here. So what our team does in those cases is we essentially mirror their entire website on here and maintain that for them. So that's it's nice in those cases. And when you are on the map and you're seeing projects that have coloration associated, that's always going to be the case, because again, the idea is to save you time and not have to jump to their website and have that all available.
Yes.
But these guys are actively drilling, so we can jump in here and see, okay, well, over the last couple months or years, what have been the drilling results that have come out of here, and kind of get the breakout. If there are instances where we're talking about multi-commodities associated, that is going to be viewable in here. So you could see if this was 80% copper or whatever the case would be. So we're always pulling all that sort of stuff in. So again, that's that level of understanding what's kind of displayed. But let's just do a couple different examples here. So
it's really cool with that too. Is just, I want to jump into, it's like, if you want to find a name, like say Abitibi, I mean, there's so many gold mining companies around there, lots of projects, there's lots of producing companies, is that you then get a context of how close you are to another one without having to go, well, let me pull up Hemlo and then look at their project and look at their, try to pull up a map. Like if anyone's looked to try to pull up different maps of who's where on the internet, it's not that clear. It's not that clean. It's a bit of a pain. Whereas you can just come in here and go, oh, I can just narrow in and I can see exactly who's all around.
Yeah. Well, and the way that our system updates is, and you can think of it like this on the project level here, is that, anytime a company like West Red Lake, if they had disseminated news this morning at 3 a.m, it crosses the wire, our team intercepts it. And that's when it's linked in, essentially in real time. If it was about a project that, let's say they had, in the closet and no one was aware of beyond their internal team, and they put out news about it, well, it's going to flag on our side and we'll add it in. So when you are looking around and driving around here, it's very safe to assume that all of the projects you're seeing here have had news on them and are relevant. Obviously, there's going to be more that are out there globally. And the intent isn't to have, so many tenements on here that, you can't differentiate what has market data associated, right?
Yeah.
But that data is available for sure out there. But again, the idea is to say, okay, well, look, this is the relevant players out here, and this is the information associated with them and where they are. But yeah, I mean, like within the news here, just as an example, we can do a couple here, but let's just say, I'll do location. Let's do a tag of, so maybe we were curious of, let's say drilling. Now let's do financings, right? Private placements.
Yeah.
And look over a given period of time and say, okay, well, over the last 30 days, and we could boil that down to, say, Quebec as well. So again, I mean, maybe we're only interested in Quebec, but to be able to organize and see, okay, well, who has done a financing in Quebec? What's trending out there? Where are these things happening? And, what are the terms associated? Again, you kind of want to be looking at sometimes apples to apples in here. And that's the intent of providing that. A thing I think that's quite unique and key on our side is the integration of the Australian information. So that's indicated by these red ones here. So it's very challenging to find access to this information across the board out there. And it was pretty wild on our side when we started bringing it in and ingesting it. How many of those players are, over on our side of the pond here in North America. And I think it's hard to know a lot of the time how they move a lot of the players around it. And sometimes only a finite amount of people are actually seeing that data. So to be able to correlate that on here is really powerful. But, there's a couple different tools we can run through quick here, and I'll be cognizant of time. But as we were looking at drilling in the past, let's just say we want to look at benchmarking. So let's look at the last 30 days. And we'll say, let's say 30 days will apply. So we can kind of get a bit of a bearing, and we could filter this by a specific commodity, but where are these assets in the last 30 days that have had drilling results associated with them? And, what are the top intercepts actually looking like? Or maybe we want to drive back further in an area that we're interested in, around here and look into it. So that's a lot of the tools and functionality that's built into here. And there are ways for, users to download that information out of the system here. So just know that that's there too. But another one that's quite exciting, I think, more on the investor side, and to your point of that it's fun to look on here, and but it can become addicting as well. So I'll say that
it really can. I mean, it especially someone who likes to cruise around.
Yeah. Well, it's always changing, right? So it's fun to look at those things. But we could look at, over the course of this week, and we'll set 10 cents as the minimum, and say maybe 10K in volume. It's just kind of a standard. We can kind of see like what is punching up and what's moving the needle out there. Now, what our system will do with this that's quite unique is because we're already associating this information with the activity types and to the project. So you can see, where things are really moving. And, in the case of First Atlantic Nickel here, they could have 20 different projects globally, right? But to know where it's relevant to and then learn why, that's a big learning curve cutter, I think, for people out there in the industry in general to be able to see this and say, okay, well, well, why did this jump so much, and what happened on this project? And okay, well, if this was the case, who else is around this that might be, impacted by this, right?
Yes.
There's
It's interesting because it's almost like a sentiment kind of thing. You get to see there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of activity in this area, a lot of news flow, and it's translating into volume or share price. That to someone is worth quite a bit, just that alone. It's an interesting indicator.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like these ones that you'll see here on this side are going to be correlating to news releases. But there's ways to view this data as well that's not tied to news. And sometimes that can be even more interesting, right? Is there something internally happening, or if something's steadily growing over the course of 20 days, 30 days and keeps going up, what's the reason for that, right? If there's no news tied to it. So, I mean, I don't want to get into the speculation game on what those scenarios would be, but it's important to see that, right? And kind of understand that because sometimes there's internal rumblings that are happening or things that are changing. Maybe there's some results that are going to be coming out. You never really know, but it's good to have visibility on that.
Yes. And I'll just to kind of reiterate, if someone wanted to, they'd say, just show me every result that's 1.5% copper with at least 20 meters, or like they can put in like an intercept, say, can you show me in the last 30 days anything that's over 1.5% copper as an assay result?
Yeah, you can definitely filter for some of that in here. Is
that more the pro version?
Yeah, that'll be on the pro version for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's ways to do that, and I mean, I think within this, there's so many different scenarios of questions of things that you might want to jump into and get. So definitely things that are in there that you can do on that side as far as sorting and categorizing it further. I guess another way to look at it is, I mean, because you were talking about watch lists before, so I could jump in and show you that on here.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is, I mean, I've got watch lists on different places, and I'm sure I could be a bit cleaner about it. But if you could just go, okay, I want to have. Just show me my Abitibi, just show me this, or just show me by region, or show me gold. Like you could sort these watch lists any way you want. Am I correct?
Yeah. I mean, you can do it old school and just punch the companies in manually, or you can create one by a region. So let's just do Golden Triangle. So what the system will do is it'll look at it and say, okay, well, where are all the companies that are or who holds assets in the triangle, and let's tie all the information in there, and then it's going to spit you out a list of that, and then once it does that, you can dismiss any that you'd like to do. So mineral belts, countries, provinces, states, territories, those are all parameters that you can search, and you could break it down further, and once you have it open, so we'll just do a golden triangle as an example here. So we could say, okay, well, like who's tracking up over the last 30 days? But I mean, I'll put on a different hat and say, like, maybe I'm a service provider of the industry. Well, maybe I'm interested, or a geologist, or whoever, who's trending up, who's recently cashed up, who's got drill results coming. There's so many different, reasons where you might want to know, or you might need to know this for your own business. So it's a lot of use cases for that. As I said before, we build a lot of the functionality surrounding, what we've been asked to do or what industry is responding to. But, we could look at the triangle and say, okay, well, like who are the companies that, over the last year have had an ESG report come out, and kind of see that, right? And then see the newsroom associated with that, and then have a way to, get this specific information into my inbox, because, I don't need 35 emails. I have things that I'm looking for depending on who I am. So we build that sort of stuff into here, because again, it's, what's key on our side is we're organizing the information, right? And there's a lot of it out there. So we try to always support and facilitate different scenarios. But it's all about transparency and access to that sort of stuff.
And I like the fact that you can keep it very simple. It doesn't have to be complex. Like anybody could jump into it today. I mean, you make most of the stuff is just available to anyone anyway, and that's what I think is so cool. There is, and we'll get into like a more pro amped up version, but it's very easy to use. It looks good, and you're going to be on a level playing field very quickly. And I always look at someone who's new. So someone who's like, Andrew, I understand we need these critical metals. I get it. We have to do a lot more mining, but I feel like A, there's a learning curve, and 2, I'm so far behind those that already have a leg up that this does become an equalizer fairly quickly. They still need to know, is this a good result? But even the chart shows this does look good. I need a bit more context, but it's encouraging for someone to see it, to want to even get involved in it.
Yeah, and I think you need to, like we were speaking about, there's a bar, right, to entry in investing, in this space, and understanding the tech, like there's core fundamentals. Obviously, you always want to be looking at the management. You want to look for past success. You want to look for the area, but what is good in this area, and so it can be a hard place to source and sort all this sort of stuff out. So that's what we like to kind of level it with. But I think also on the pro side, when you're looking at those market movers on the map, and you get insights to where things are trending, and why that is, and it's always, I think, going to be a learning curve when it comes to investing in mining. But any leg up you can get is obviously a good one. And I mean, even once you start to figure it out, I think it's kind of like, I find, like with my kids, as soon as I figure them out, they change. So, it's the market.
Yeah.
Different, right?
Well, I'm trying to think of ways so people understand. Like if someone calls me up and says, Andrew, what have you heard about this company? I can literally go, hey, let's just jump on a quick call. I can pull it up and go, like, what's the article you saw, or why were you interested in it? And if I don't even have never heard of them, I can go look and go, okay, I can see exactly where they are, who surrounds them, what the project is. Like, if for someone like me, it's very quick. I can have an opinion fairly quickly as to what am I looking at. And for me, that's a huge time saver right off the bat, that I can just whip in there very quickly and look and go, I think maybe that article was a bit more hype and hope than it is like actual results. Or I can walk through someone to say, here's what we always focus on, and we say it all the time. It's, the people in the deal, who's the management, who's funding it, who's doing this. It's a very clear way for me to explain to someone like our model when we look at something, what excites us in a very direct way, all in one place. Once again, it's just right here. It's a hub. It is an actual hub.
Yeah. So it's the access to it is visiting app.mininghub.com. And when you go in there, you can create a free login, as we say, and opt in and get an email. So we do 2 separate emails. One, as I said, comes out before the market open. That's the North American side. And then there's a later one that comes out coinciding with the ASX exchanges or exchange. So we put that one out as well. They are 2 separate. We can't really bulk it in, otherwise it wouldn't be relevant for the market, and it would be too bloody long, I think, to look at for anybody. But yeah, you can kind of access it that way, and then come in here, and there's tutorials on here. There's also a free trial for the pro that you can elect to join in, and certainly shoot us messages if you have comments or feedback. I mean, that's always our goal here, is supporting in that side. But like you say, it's meant to be used, and it's meant to be used by a wide variety of different people in here, and supporting, right? Like a great example of one that I saw that caught our eye was we've seen a lot of drill results come out over the last 6 months, and a lot of them that should have, I'd say, arguably caught the market's attention and didn't. And then you see one in lithium recently from Q2 Metals that was a very stellar result, and it got a lot of traction from that. What I found really interesting was, so we were looking at that, tracking it as it came out. And we can look at that. So I just punched in Q2 Metals here, but it would have been this one here. But what we saw on our side is, after we looked at that, we came in and we looked down trend of it, and we're like, okay, well, who else is in the area here that if this is happening here? And that was a maiden drill campaign, so like a brand new first time kind of drilling into an area. Okay, well, who else is around it? And we saw a big correlation and a spike come out of these guys here, just to the south of them. So it was nice to see it, and the market didn't react right away. I mean, not everybody knew about it. I'm not going to say we're taking credit for it, but we did put out an article about this area because our team thought it looked pretty promising, and the market tended to agree with it. So it was good to see that sort of stuff. But all that sort of information is as you say, or as we were saying before, it's changing all the time. So it's cool to kind of come in and see it. And when you are at the water cooler or wherever, and somebody's talking about a project, you can pull it up on your phone and jump in and look at it and say, okay, well, I actually understand it, because there's so much out there, right? And everything too is it's look at the M&A. Things are changing hands every single day, and new projects are being staked all the time. So
and that's the other thing, is you can see, oh wait, there's a property, say with this example, there's a property right next door. It's for sale. Like someone goes, holy smokes, I didn't realize that it will pull up all of that. So even if you're a company or you're a firm and you're looking to go, those are good results, no one's paying attention. Oh boy, someone wants a JV partner right beside. It's like, who are they? Who is this company? That's where it becomes more of a specific tool to say M&A, to a banker or someone as well, or even like a family office who looks and goes, wait, that is interesting. We like this article content you put out suggesting there could be something here. We need to get moving on this a bit.
Yeah, I guess not to correct you on that, but the one way we do it in our side is, so as I said before, there's some companies that have more information populated where they've opted in.
Yeah,
those are ones where we have a relationship with them, so we do
yes.
know, and those are the ones that have the ability to add those projects in. And I would say as well, you know, it depending, well, almost in any market, every project does have a price and is for sale in some capacity.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of them out there that are looking for teams.
Yes.
And you know, a company doesn't have the bandwidth to pull it off because their interests are somewhere or elsewhere. And
well,
so
that's a good segue as to why, like, a company. So I mean, we'll have some CEOs and people on right now as well. It's mostly retail, but that's why a company wants to be on your site too. Like, they want to engage with you because you're going to attract a lot of people that are going to say, hey, I want to use this, but they also want to be on here making sure, is my stuff updated, like all of my stuff? Because yeah, we have a project, we're interested, and it's a lot easier to be on this than to just start calling up people saying, hey, I've got a JV over here, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, I think when things work organically and somebody's excited about you, you know, that's always a better position for a company to be in, for sure, than chasing down somebody cold that may or may not remember they signed up for something, right? But
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, like, you know, if you're looking at a project and you're coming into it, what companies do have the ability to do, and there's two levels to it, you know, for us as a business. One is that, you know, for any company, regardless of any monetary exchange, we do allow them to have access to their profile on here. Because look, at the end of the day, you know, in the case of Trifecta here or whoever, you know, it's not Mining Hub's project or company, it's theirs. And so, you know, for everybody's benefit, we want to ensure that there's alignment in the display of that, because that helps and supports everybody. And look, you know, maybe Trifecta doesn't want to have this project visible on here, or whatever the case may be, right? It's not our call to make it. So we shoulder the data coming in, but we do give companies the ability to come in, you know, at no charge and you know, update what's being displayed. The other side is, you know, in the case of Trifecta here, you know, they want to have more information available. So, you know, when we click on this project, they've actually added in their own layers that are, you know, important to this project, spatial things that, you know, not a whole dump of their entire geology GIS, you know, database there, but high level things like, okay, well, what's important about this project, and you know, the plaster claims are a big part of the story, and what had historically happened in this area and why they're chasing things where they are. But even things down to magnetics, you know, and
Nice.
they're facing trends in certain areas. So it's a tool for them, which they're able to use. And, you know, furthermore, I mean, you know, they could be at the bar showing this on their phone as opposed to pulling up an old PowerPoint deck,
or they
right?
could be even a student at university and they're doing a project. I mean, it's like there's so many uses of people who are either looking for a job, doing a project at school, just like there's so many uses for this to get people excited about this space as we're entering, I think, into a very promising market in it. No, I don't want to be too speculative here, but we're, I think, feeling a bit more optimistic. I don't usually like to say what someone is not, but tell me if I'm wrong. You're not a promo site that's showing a bias, that has a forum that wants people to, hey, let me chat up this stock. You guys are, listen, we're a tech company basically providing data, as much of the hard numbers we can, with indicators and everything else, but we're not here to engage in the other side, which we see a lot out there.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate way to put it. I mean, you know, at the same time, I mean, we are a business, and so like when there are companies that want to put in, you know, additional information, and we're populating stuff, then for sure there's a monetary exchange. But we're not ever deviating from the transparency of information, and that'll always be the case. And nor are we, you know, having a chat board or things like that where we're promoting things or pushing things overly hard, because look, there's a lot of great companies and projects out there, companies that you know, we're not engaged with, but I mean, it's valuable to the market to be aware of them one way or another. And you know, even if we did have an opinion on it, you know, our opinion might differ from others, and so we don't want to put any bias into what we're displaying and showing here, because that's not really the goal. The goal is to kind of modernize the space and support it, right? The best way we can, and the best way to do that is you know, transparency and not introducing that bias to it. I mean, there's value in it. Don't get me wrong. In some instances, for sure, when you do want to see what's moving it and hear speculation on things. So there's a place for that. I'd say it's not really on here because this is more, it's a resource, right?
But it's great for someone like me, or if you're like someone big like a Rick Rule, because some of his subscribers can go, I saw this over here on this site and it was indicating this. What do you think? They can go to someone, a talking head or an analyst over at PI or wherever, and ask them then, what's your opinion? And once again, if they don't know, they can come on here very quickly and have an opinion very quickly if they're an analyst. Like, it's going to be like, oh wow, yeah, that's interesting. That's something I need to pay attention to, or I don't know, stay away from it. And that's a great resource for even someone who is just getting involved in this to say, I've got some data and I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I got access to a geo. What's their opinion on it?
Yeah, I totally agree. We bake a couple of features into here where there's a few buttons where you can share things. So, if you are zoomed into a certain area, you've got things turned on. There's quick buttons where you can just grab a URL of exactly what you're seeing and throw it into an email or whatever you want to do and drive someone into it. Because if you're telling somebody to go check out something, or hey, what's going on with this? Obviously, like we said before, we're trying to save time here, so we build those tools in. But yeah, that's the whole point, is to support and inform anybody in the space and give them the access to it.
Well, listen, I know you've got a hard stop here, but we've got a lot of interest, a lot of people watching, so that's good news, because that's my whole goal here, is I want people to jump on your site and play around with it. I think they're going to be pretty amazed if they're not already on it. And of course, any companies, they should be on it. You've got quite a few already, but I think it's really in this space something that really jumped out for me. And someone who likes numbers, who likes really getting into things, to be able to mobilize and move around very quickly is key, especially with how things can move very quickly in mining as well. Like, good results can send a stock going. And if someone feels like they're on equal footing now, the more they get used to playing with this, I think it's going to attract a lot more people. And I know you're very open to chatting with people. You were very quick with chatting with us. We really appreciate it. But maybe we'll also try to see if we've got lots of questions and lots of people reaching out. You might be inundated. You've got a business to run, that we'll try to have you on, maybe to talk about more of the advanced kind of step 2, step 3, because once again, we're scratching the surface as to what this can do. And already what we've seen is it's really cool. It's really great.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And I mean, if there are reach outs, there's info@mininghub.com. Feel free to message us there. We are busy, but we'll try to get back to everyone as soon as we can.
Excellent, Carl. We'll really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy Halloween as well. And we'll talk to you again soon, Carl.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Cheers. Bye-bye.